Recovering from your eating disorder takes lots of different parts. There's not just one thing that we need to do to recover or stay in recovery. I think it's important, most of all, to just have awareness. And there are a lot of things to have awareness of. You know, brains with an eating disorder actually are all different. A normal brain, if you just look at a cross-section of a normal brain, when the person eats, their brain tells them, yeah, this food tastes good, it's not bad or anything like that, it hasn't spoiled, it's not poisonous, so go ahead and take another bite. And yeah, I'm still hungry, so I want to keep eating, and oh, I'm enjoying this food. And the interesting thing about non-eating disordered brains is they don't for a second think about what they look like when they're eating. Those of us with eating disordered brains, we tend to think about what we look like when we eat. And people with non-eating disordered brains don't do that. Now, if you have a brain with anorexia nervosa, you're only 1% of the population, lucky you, is the 1% who can starve themselves for extended periods of time. And literally, when you or your daughter or son or spouse taste food, the first thought is, oh, this tastes terrible. And I'll even watch you when you eat. When you're eating, you have it's almost like so distasteful, you're afraid to put it in your mouth. As one of our girls said, it feels like a snake on a plate to her. So when you take that bite, the first thought is, this tastes awful. And stop eating, I can't eat anymore. That's your dysfunctional brain. Remember, that's not really, your body's hungry, your body's malnourished. So I know it takes a lot of effort, and hopefully you can find someone to distract you, or even eating in a distracted way is fine. You don't have to necessarily eat mindfully when you're eating if you have anorexia nervosa. Just do the best you can to get through the meal. Because remember, your brain is lying to you. It's telling you that you're full when you're not. If you have binge eating disorder or bulimia nervosa, it's very different from the anorexia in a brain or the normal brain for eating. Your brain, first of all, when it takes a bite, says, this is fantastic, probably better than it actually is. And then what happens is you tell yourself, oh, I'm ravenous, I want more. And as you're eating, you're telling yourself, but I'm so fat and huge, I need to stop, and yet I want to keep eating, and I can't stop eating. So that's how your brain is different. And you've seen the cross-sections of brains, we've talked about this, and you can ask me if you have more questions. But just remember that how your brain responds to food is not necessarily true. And that's important to know. It's also important to understand and have an awareness of your family or of origin issues around food. So you can ask yourself, is this really the truth? Do carbs really make me fat? What did my dietitian say about carbs? Think about what you hear from your family of origin, and from your mom, your dad, your grandparents, your siblings, and see if that really makes sense. Use your prefrontal cortex, your executive functioning, and really look at that information. Some things they say may be actually very true. If you have anorexia nervosa and your dad says, come on honey, eat. You're underweight, you're working on this. It's really safe to eat. I'm not going to lie to you. You can probably trust your dad, right? Far more than you can trust Ed, the eating disorder. When you're eating, or in your eating disorder behaviors, if that's restricting, binging, or purging, make sure you're taking a moment to not run away from your feelings, because we know that that's what this is really about. Take a moment to notice what you're feeling. And it's not going to kill you. And call a friend and talk about it. Write about it in your journal. Call the office, email. Just find someone to talk with, or just talk with yourself about it. Maybe pray about it. So just be aware of what your feeling is. And I promise you, if you're having an emotion, like getting flooded with shame, if you just sit with it, feel it, notice where in your body you feel it. Like I feel it in my chest, I feel it in my stomach, and just sit with it. Kind of notice what color it is, what shape it is, if it has a temperature, what it says. Just sit with it. After a while, you're going to notice it starts to dissipate. It starts to kind of go away. If it doesn't, then call someone, call a friend, and they're going to help you get through it. But usually when we feel a feeling, remember, an emotion is just a chemical reaction in your brain. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. And that's what we do. We respond to these emotions that don't necessarily mean anything. Another piece of awareness is to be aware when you're eating, especially if you have bulimia nervosa or binge eating disorder. So turn off the screen. Put your iPad down, away. Put your phone away, unless you're going to listen to a book on tape. Because those of us with binge eating disorder or bulimia nervosa, when we're binging, we want to check out, and we really go into a different kind of mesmerized state when we're eating and watching a screen. We can't be aware of what we're eating. So awareness of eating, we'll talk about that in the next segment. We're going to talk about mindful eating and just a recap on how to do that. Very important also is to go back to your body gratitude. People tell me, they say, Kelly, I hate my body, which is just really a crazy thing, because I ask them, well, do you hate your eyes? Well, no, I love my eyes. What do you like about your eyes? Well, I like the color. And what else do your eyes do for you? Well, I can see. Well, do you like the music we have playing in the background? I've got some Andrea Bocelli in the background. You enjoying that? You're like, yeah, I love that. Well, that's your ears hearing that. What are your ears attached to? They are part of your body. What about your heart? Do you appreciate your heart? Do you appreciate your feet? You know, I'm missing a toenail right now. I appreciate my toenails. So we appreciate all those parts of our body, and yet we make this sweeping statement, I hate my body. Because if I had an extra roll, or because my abs aren't ripped, it's kind of a crazy thing. So take a moment when you're trying to recover from Ed and think about what he's saying to you about your body's not true. He's telling you that you're fat and worthless and just go kill yourself right now, or just go binge on that cake, it doesn't matter, or just you shouldn't eat if you have anorexia nervosa. And take a moment to just think about the gratitude that you have for your body. You know, one of the things I love best about my body is hugging my kids, hugging my husband, hugging my patients, petting my dog. There's just so many great things our body does for us, and yet we make the sweeping generalization. So check yourself on that when you tell yourself that. When you weigh, and if you haven't given me your scale, please give me your scale. When you weigh, it's a ridiculous way to decide if your body is worthwhile or not. Again, we always encourage you to journal, to distract yourself. Find another distraction device. Like, I like playing cards on my iPad. I like playing Words with Chums, which is better than Words with Friends if you haven't tried it. I love hanging out with my dog, just listening to music, not doing anything else, just slowing down a little. And last but not least, one of the techniques that I've learned from people who are in recovery 12-step programs, they talk about playing out the whole movie. So I say to myself, I'm going to go binge. I want to go in that kitchen and binge. But what if I play out the movie, and I just take a moment and say, well, I can go do that. And I imagine myself going through the binge, not too much, you don't want to reinforce the neural pathway, but I imagine, then I get to the end, how am I really going to feel? Is it really going to make me feel better about the loss of my mother? Is it going to make me feel better about the kids teasing you at school about your weight? It's not going to help. It's just it's a lie. Is restricting going to help you when your family's sitting around eating? You know, is it really going to help you feel more connected to friends and people? Or is it going to remember when you restrict and you don't go out with friends to go eat? That doesn't give you more friends, it gives you less friends. So play out the movie of what Ed is telling you, because remember, Ed's a liar, okay? He lies all the time. So when you get Ed in your head, try to get Kelly in your head, try to get your family in your head, try to get people who really love and care about you in your head. And look at your journal, all the things that you've written down about the gratitude you have in your life. Not only what your body does for you, but everything else you have. You know, for all the things we don't have, we can notice all that we do have. So God bless. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.